Good afternoon, Rotarians, and welcome to all of you. And this is the Rotary Club of Madison, and my name is Paul Hoffman, and I'm the incoming president. I'm here filling in for President Teresa Holmes, who wasn't able to make it today. And it's just really great to see so many people here in person. So thanks for coming out today, and welcome to summer, I guess, right? So here it is. There was spring, now we're summer, so that's great. Today's meeting is sponsored by Anita Mohammed of Whipley. And I would just want to say thanks to Anita for that. And Anita is with Whipley, and she's got one of her co-workers, Jess Schwantes, who's a potential member, Jess, that was here today with her to help out. And thanks Whipley for sponsoring. They're a great firm, so appreciate that, Anita. All right, well, we've got opening music, so let's start. Dick Lovell is going to lead us in singing America the Beautiful with Casey Elkers on the keyboard.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Awesome. Thanks, Dick. Thank you, Casey, for that. I appreciate it. It's really great to hear everybody singing and back in place in person again. And then with that, Mark Clare, can you come up and introduce our guests?
Good afternoon, everyone. Inexplicably, I've been allowed near the microphone again. President Teresa isn't here, so who knows what I might get away with. I am pleased to introduce today's great-looking bunch of guests. And as always, we ask our guests to please rise and remain standing as I call your name, and then we will honor you as a group at the end. Our first guest, Amy Baskin. Did Amy make it? Is Brian here? Yep. All right, great. Good to see you. Charles Konzitsky is a guest of George Hidalgo. Robert Reed, a guest of Casey Olkers. Roger Stouter, a guest of Rob Stroud. Jess Lathrop, a guest of the program committee, also possibly here. If anyone knows Jess, just imagine that she was here. Jeff Burkhart is, Jeff Burhant. I'll get your name right someday, Jeff. As a guest of the program committee, and Jessica Schwantes, previously mentioned, a guest of Anita Mohammed. Please join me in welcoming our guests.
Thank you, Mark, and somehow you made it through that without it really causing any problems. So thank you for that, Mark. I appreciate that. That's great. Okay, and then Terry Heinrichs, who chairs our Budget and Finance Committee, has an announcement to make. So, Terry?
Thank you, President-elect Paul. He just said this is the good news. I am Terry Heinrichs. I am the chair of this year's Budget and Finance Committee. Our committee met last month and drafted a budget for the upcoming Rotary year, which was presented to and accepted by the Club Board of Directors on May 2nd. The budget includes a slight increase in membership dues. This does require a vote by membership, so I'm here to give a little background. As you may recall, COVID caused our club to make some changes to our dues and meal structure. It's a pretty major change. So in the fall of 2020, we moved away from having the uneaten meals subsidized in our operating budget and transitioned to having the membership dues pay for the club's operating costs. So members now only pay for meals they are consuming, mostly because not everyone has used their tickets this year, but Going forward, we anticipate that to be the case. And I'll come back and talk about meals a little bit more in a second. Our membership dues are, the level is dependent upon the membership numbers. We budgeted this current year to be at 420 members, and we've been averaging about 415 members. In order to have an operating budget that allows us to do everything, we ideally would like to be at 460. So you can see we got a little bit of a gap. And since we're still coming out of the pandemic, we've budgeted this coming year for 430 members. I'm not part of the membership development committee, but you all are, so we've got a little bit of room to get to our budgeted number. The 2022-2023 Rotary year, as you know, begins July 1st, and we've got a couple of items I want to highlight on the budget for this. We are adding a cyber insurance policy as we think that that's a relevant thing to do. Rotary International dues are going up by $1 per person. The hotel meeting space, the cost for that each period are going up as well. We've added a diversity, equity, and inclusion training for the staff and club leaders at $1,000. And the board also approved an increase in salaries for the staff. On the income side, as you may know, as was just announced, we do have weekly meeting sponsorships. They're $300 for a co-sponsorship level and $600 for a sole sponsorship level. Those were new as of last year, and they've been sold out. Special thanks to Melanie Ramey, who heads up the sponsorships. And so for this coming year, we're going to change those sponsorship levels from $500 per week to $600, which will actually align with the weekly costs that we have for the room. So if you have any interest, please reach out to Melanie. I even in the budget meeting realized there were people not aware of this opportunity. And so, Melanie, look for some phone calls, we hope, in getting these sold out again for the coming year. Also on the income side, we're proposing a $20 per member increase in membership dues for the standard members. So this would bring the dues from $790 to $810 for the year, which is a 3% increase. The budget proposes a $10 increase per exempt member, which would bring the exempt member dues from $490 to $500. If you're wondering what an exempt membership is, it's for those whose age and years total 85. Age and years. Life membership is achieved by those years as a member. Did I? Yes. Did I not? Sorry. Sorry. Life membership is achieved by those who reach at least 80 years old and being a member of our club for at least 30 years, and their dues would remain at $225. Just to note, we continue to accept PayPal and Visa as ways to pay for a lot of different things, including membership. Members will continue to not be charged a fee for that process. Fees are running about $8,000 per year, so we do encourage people to write checks if they're able to or when it's possible. Okay, so I mentioned earlier we're having some, we changed how members pay for meals and only paying for those that they consume. We had to transition this very quickly, and we're finding that there's some cumbersomeness to that process. You may find the same in case you've arrived here without a ticket or failed to record a reservation prior to getting here. So we're working through that process. Right now, the office staff is dealing with a lot of tracking for those that may not have been issued tickets, members that are forgetting tickets, forgetting to turn in their tickets, forgetting to register, and then people who are registering and then canceling. Been very lenient in the last year, just managing through all that process. But we're looking at ways to change that, make it more efficient, easier for you, and perhaps most especially easier for the staff, because there's a lot of tracking and charting that's going on behind the scenes. Important to note, for those that have tickets still that were issued last July, so about a year ago, those will no longer be eligible for use starting July 1 in 2 months. For those of you that purchased any tickets this half of the year from January to June, those tickets will be eligible to be used through the back half of 2022, just as an FYI. I will be back to recap a lot of these details next week, so you don't have to have this memorized. There will be a vote the following week on May 25th, and that vote will be handed handled electronically. If you have a desire to review the budget, it is on the back table, so you can pick up a copy. Also, if it is available on the members-only section of the website. If you do have any questions about this, please contact me, contact Paul, any other board member, any club officer, or the Rotary office. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Terry. That's a lot of work that the Budget Committee has done to put that together, so I really appreciate their efforts to do so. And with that, Mike Casey headed up our clubs committee that successfully completed the Change Her Story project in Ghana. They just completed the final report on this project, and Mike is going to come up and provide us with a quick summary of what we accomplished. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Paul. Just as an early reminder, the next 2 months, I think, people have an opportunity to contribute to the Rotary Foundation operation, which actually financed a large portion of our Change Your Story project. Although our club has financed many international projects over the years, this was our club's first global grant project in many years. A global grant project adds Rotary International money beyond district and beyond our own dollars. The goals were to make girls more comfortable in attending school during their period, make it more likely they would continue their education, and be able to make a living for their families in the longer term. Specifically, we were to provide a junior high school curriculum to teach adolescent girls and boys about reproduction and menstruation, dispel myths, of which we learned there were many, provide washable menstrual hygiene kits to female students when they got their period. And yes, here I am. I'm 82 now, but a white guy talking about menstrual hygiene. For those of you who read Rotary International's monthly magazine, we were more than 3 years ahead of Rotary International's recognition of the importance of the issues we were addressing in our first-year application. Over the 3-year project years, we worked with 3 Ghana Rotary clubs in 8 regions in the country and in 188 schools to reach 25,000 girls, boys, and families, and distributed more than 17,500 menstrual hygiene kits, washable kits, to junior high girls. In addition, we helped our nonprofit partner, Days for Girls International, improve their processes for sewing kits and other things that they did. We developed training materials and lesson plans for teachers in Ghana to use throughout the year to reinforce the learning and provide ongoing support to students. We provided wash stands and hand washing supplies in 90 schools. We operated in 3rd year. We learned in the 3rd year and we and Rotary International that was a critical issue. We also partnered with the University of Wisconsin-Madison's 4W project. We partnered with 7 other Rotary clubs in our district, and as well as 12 other nonprofits, foundations, and individuals. We had more than 20 of our own club members and friends travel to Ghana to learn about and participate in project activities. And 2 of our high school interact clubs, Madison and East, sold beads from Ghana, raising $1,500, which they sent back to Ghana for girls' scholarships and materials. And we generated approximately $3.50 for every $1 we spent with our club. And finally, thousands of young people received body literacy training. Myths, in fact, were dispelled. And we believe more young men will continue their education and be able to make a living for their families. Finally, a large number of our members participated in both developing the project and supporting it over the actually more than 5 years we operated, because COVID extended the operation. And we helped make things happen because our club members contributed to the Rotary International Foundation. I'd like to acknowledge the support of a number of folks in the room. Those of you who were involved 4.5 years ago or so going forward, would you please stand? There are quite a number of you. Yes, Melanie and others. Joyce? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Mike. And actually, if you guys would indulge me, I think they deserve a standing ovation for the work they did. This was an incredible lift for a number of years, and that was fantastic work, you guys. So, thank you. Excellent, excellent project. All right, Tim Stottleman chairs this year's Rotary International Foundation campaign, and he's got an update report for us. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Paul. And thanks, Mike, for that summary report about the Change Your Story project. And you can see what a difference our club is making in the lives of those girls and their families. This project's a first-hand example of what your dollars to the Rotary International Foundation will help support. Our club's international committee is already working on the next project titled Empowering Families, and will be helping to tackle child trafficking in Uganda. The committee is currently working on that application and is going to seek matching funds from both the district as well as the Rotary International Foundation. As I mentioned last week, our Rotary District requires clubs to donate at least an average of $100 per member to be eligible for those matching dollars. And all members should have received an envelope from the Rotary office with the pledge form for this year's Rotary International Foundation. Thank you so much for those who have already contributed. We've had to date 79 members with a total of $39,000 received. So towards our $45,000 goal. So please consider helping us, and you'll get, if you have additional gifts you'd like to give, we'd like to see as great a participation as we can. Get those to the Rotary office, and I'll have more updates soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Tim. All right, so we have birthdays to celebrate with a bit of humor or wisdom that complements Rotary's mission. We also encourage members to make an age-appropriate gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation, rounded up to $100 for our Club Synergy Scholarship Fund. And so with that, we've got May 9th, Renette Maurer. May 9th, Bob Shoemaker. May 11th, past President Rob Stroud. May 12th, John Everett. May 12th, Larry Konopacki. And May 14th, Ben Balaji. So thanks to our celebrants for their contributions to the Madison Rotary Foundation, and please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. Awesome. Okay, we've got a few members in the news to talk about. But first I want to let members know that Melinda Heinrichs' mother, Linda K. Vogler, passed away on February 26 in Madison, Indiana. We extend our sympathies to Melinda and to her family. And Mary Mose, Fred Mose's wife, passed away on May 3rd. We extend our sympathies to Fred and to their family. We also want to send get well wishes to Diane Everson, who's recovering from a fall, and Julie Swenson, who is recovering from surgery. You can send cards to their home addresses, and we look forward to seeing them back at Rotary meetings soon. Our members in the news continue with congratulations to Brian Anderson, who completed the 2022 Coast to Coast Across the USA in 52 days bike ride on May 2nd. Yep. Thanks, Brian. Good job, Brian. Do you actually put the tires in each ocean on either side, Brian? He does. 52 days. All right, so Jason Barron has been appointed to the Rotary Tri-Con Conference Chair role for a 4-year term, and he will chair the Rotary Tri-Con in 2025-26. Thank you, Jason, for his willingness to step up into this role for Rotary. That's a big role. Jess Cavazos was quoted in an article titled Latino Chamber Plans to Expand. That was from the Wisconsin State Journal. And then Virginia Henderson, who was a member of our club from 1995 until her death in 2019, has a school named after her. Glendale Elementary School has been renamed the Dr. Virginia Henderson Elementary School, and Perry and their family attended a ceremony last evening to celebrate this school's renaming. How cool is that? Isn't that awesome? What a great recognition. It's fantastic news. All right. Well, today's speaker is Michael Falbo, who was appointed interim president of the University of Wisconsin system to serve between Tommy Thompson's resignation in March of this year and the start date of Thompson's successor, Jay Rothman, who takes over the role as president of the UW system on June 1st. Michael has served on the UW System Board of Regents for 11 years and was president of the board from 2013 to 2015. He's had a 4-decade career in the banking industry. Woohoo! Well, I just had you do that, Michael. And now I've lost my place. And is a former chairman and chief executive officer of State Financial Services Corporation, which was acquired by Associated Bank of Green Bay in 2005. Michael is going to talk with us today about the UW system leadership transition. And we look forward to your presentation, Michael. And we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thank you for speaking with us today. I also wanted to mention that we will have Q&A for our speaker at the end as time allows, but please wait for the microphone if you have a question. And so let's welcome UW System Interim President Michael Falbo to our podium. Thank you.
Fellow banker, we never lose our interest. When I was in Rotary, that would have been a fine. And by the way, thank you for all you do. I know this is a really vibrant club in our state and in the country. And I am a past Rotarian and had 35 years ago had a exchange daughter through Rotary from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and still keep in touch. So Rotary has touched our family in quite a nice way. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm not going to talk very long. I hope there's discussion. So the passions of the UW system aren't different than the passions I see here today. We're in many endeavors together, and a lot of it is about young people and students and the success of young people and students. So thank you for that, and thank you for sharing some of our objectives. It's a big year. Every year is a big year in the UW system. This month, about 23,000 students will earn degrees across the system, and that'll make an annual total of 37,000 degrees. I always tell our people, whenever you feel that your job is overwhelming you and you're not feeling so good about everything, go to a commencement. It'll lift you right up. And by the way, it was announced earlier, but Jeff Brandt, our vice president of, I don't know what he's vice president of, but he keeps telling me he's vice president. And a potential member. Now, I know that's all I have to say because he's sitting next to Regina. So we're in a transition time between presidents, and Tommy, as you know, did a fantastic job. Couldn't have anybody better, especially during the COVID time that we all wish we hadn't had to go through. But I can tell you this: I found out I'm 73 and I'm damn tired. And you know, I shouldn't say this, but those afternoon naps used to feel pretty good, and I haven't had one for a long time, and I don't know how he does it, but he does it, and I wish I could keep up, but I can't. So June 1st is the transition to Jay Rothman. Jay Rothman is a friend of mine for over 30 years. He was our corporate attorney, and we became very good friends during that time. And I'll talk a little more about him, but he's just a great guy, and I think I know with Regina here that he will be in your lineup of speakers in the very near future. So serving as interim president is such an honor, and I don't know if there's how many there have been that have been president of the Board of Regents and interim president of the system. None? Okay. One. And recently I was on the search and screen committee to hire the new president, and so I took that opportunity to go to all the campuses in the state for listening sessions with the faculty and staff and leadership and students. And it was quite interesting. I can tell you, there's so many things that we work so hard for, and student success is the biggest thing. But and some of the issues still are the same as when I started on this board in 2004. And we're made I don't mean they're stale or stagnant. We haven't done anything about it, but they still remain issues, and we still have to do better. I had the fortune of having a very strong vice president when I was president of the Board of Regents, and she's sitting right here. So there's what we're trying to do is, as you can imagine, this is a very large organization. There's almost 40,000 employees throughout the system, $6+ billion budget, 165,000 students. It's quite a large business, and there's every challenge that comes with any business. We have probably multipliers, but so it's quite a challenge. It's a great challenge. It's a great honor. I come from a very, very meager background. Grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We Kenosha, yes, right here, Kenosha. It's a great place to grow up. Went to Tremper guy right here, and I was one of the first classes when Tremper was built, so that's quite a while ago. One of the things we're doing is we're trying to leverage all of our positives. We're trying to leverage our chancellors, who they're our brain power, and they lead the rest of our brain power. And so we're trying to be driven from the campus up, to use and leverage what the chancellors know and do, and build that into what's going to be the start. And Jay has started a strategic plan moving forward that's on a very short time frame to be done before the end of the year. It's a big undertaking. In the meantime, we still have decisions to make, and as I said, a very large business to run. So we're working on a lot of things. We're trying to, as any organization might have, we're trying to break down barriers, break down walls, and build a team. One of the things I learned when I went on the search and screen committee tour is there was a lot of us versus them. And one of the things I said to every group that I visited was, I'd love to come back and do another tour of every campus in 3 years and hear everybody say we. And so that I think is part of the driving goal. Jay Rothman is an attorney with Foley and Lardner. He was CEO for the last 11 years. Foley has a pretty good sized office here in Madison, and they're one of the largest firms in the country. His leadership skills are fantastic. He's a Wausau area farm boy, and he's very much looking forward to working with everybody in the Madison community and across the state, and to help again student success. So. We started a national search last January for this position, and Jay and I would talk quite regularly. And as he was termed out as CEO of his law firm, he could not be CEO anymore. They have term limits. So as we were talking, he said, "I need to look for the next chapter in my life, and I don't think it's at the law firm for 3 reasons." One, I can't go back and take my accounts that I gave to very good attorneys when I became CEO. It's not right. 2, I don't want to be in the way of the new CEO. And 3, at this stage of my career, I'm not going to go knocking on doors and build a brand new practice. So I really need to think about what's next for me. I'm not done. I have a lot of energy. I have a lot I want to give and offer. And I told him about this opportunity. And we talked about it quite a bit, and he said, "Mike, what are my chances?" I said, 0. But you'll learn a lot from the process. And you'll find this out because I'm sure he's going to be here at some point. He's passionate and he understands. He's a very quick study, and he's going to do some great things for the University of Wisconsin system and for all the campuses. So I think I'd just like to open it up for questions, and hopefully you have some. I see the microphone tuning up right here.
Hi, Darren Harris. I helped Ray Cross write the last strategic plan. So what my question is, it's pretty darn good, right? You're starting with a very viable plan that has, really a lot of public input. How are you going to use that? What are you going to platform from that strategic plan into the new one?
What year was that written?
I think 2017,
Okay,
16,
yeah.
17,
Yeah,
or about there. So it's in your 5-year increment.
Yes, and I think, the one thing about a strategic plan, you don't write it and put it on the shelf. You live it. And your strategic plan, in my experience, changes just about every day. The future is not a point you're trying to get to. The future is what we're creating as we go along. So a strategic plan hopefully ties into that, and you're working with it, and you're achieving what you put in the plan and changing it and achieving those changes. So that plan is part of the basis for what we're looking at today and starting a new process. It's not shelved, it's not forgotten, and there'll be big chunks of it in the new plan. Uh-oh, not Jeff Bartell.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks.
Some of the critical elements of success for the UW system are always its relationship to the legislature and relationship to the executive. How do you assess those relationships now?
Well, I think you could talk about that on a more global basis than just the university system. Everything is pretty paralyzed, and in Wisconsin, it's always been kind of paralyzed. I mean, we're a purple state, and parties aren't getting along very well. We just hope to keep on message, to keep our goals and objectives clear and out there, and. I have a problem. Don't hold this against anybody else that's part of the system. Don't hold it against Jay Rothman. I have a problem with anybody who doesn't think education is important. And it takes on many different forms. Thank you. It doesn't have to be a doctorate degree. It doesn't have to be a master's degree. It doesn't have to be an associate degree. It could be anything, a certification. But to think that education doesn't help you through your life, I have a hard time dealing with that. So I guess the way I'm answering is if there's any politician that believes that, give me the 2x4.
The university system has been in existence for about 50 years now.
Yes.
And those of us who were very skeptical about the idea have to admit that this is a great university system. And it's remarkable for such a small state and population and income. You have one of the greatest universities here in Madison and many, many good schools around the state. So why is it that around the state, the general population does not appreciate the fact that they have got one of the most extraordinary educational institutions in the world right here?
I hope they do. I know what you're saying, that we hear from the ones that don't believe that, but maybe I'm being living in the shelter somewhere, but I believe by and large they do know that. And if you really want to know how good the University of Wisconsin system is, and our flagship in particular, UW-Madison, go out of state and listen to people talk. They look to us. They look to what the UW system and what UW-Madison is doing to determine what they're going to do in their states. And we've traveled a lot, and when I was on the Board of Regents, we traveled a lot to many different universities and different systems, and that was a consistent message. So I hope it's out there, and I guess the naysayers, we just have to deal with them one at a time.
I have always gotten a lot of questions about what's the responsibility of a chancellor versus the president of the system. Would you share the differences between the roles of those two positions?
Sure. I think that, well, the chancellors are the CEOs of the campus. They're the ones that are working directly for the success of the students. The system is a service provider in my mind. Now, the chancellors on paper report to the president of the system, but as I look at it, it's the other way around. What do you need me for? What can I do for you? How can I help you be more successful? So it's not a clear-cut answer, but system by and large should be a service center and do everything in their power to help make the campuses successful.
Michael May here. Nothing against lawyers, but why did you choose?
Oh, go ahead. I'm with you.
Yeah, there's a joke somewhere here, but why did you choose somebody with no experience in the academy, and what sort of challenges will that bring?
You'd have to know him, and you'd have to have been part of the interview process. He's extremely smart. He probably, at this point in time, with all the work and studying he's done, I would put him up against anybody to talk about the history of the University of Wisconsin system, the Wisconsin idea, or anything else to do with higher education in Wisconsin. And that's what that was an issue. It was brought up every time, and every time he was interviewed, he knocked it out of the park. He's ready for this leadership, and as it ties into Regina's question. What do the chancellors do versus what does the president do? So what I said at every campus is a good leader knows their strengths and leverages them into success. A great leader knows their weaknesses and builds a team around them to be more successful. And that's where Jay is.
Thank you. Extension was really the reason, a way that the university connected with the entire state of the university, entire state of Wisconsin. And I understand it was eliminated for financial reasons, so I'm asking, what's the university going to do to replace it in terms of reaching out to the communities and the people in the state of Wisconsin?
I don't think it's been eliminated. It's alive and well, and it's under the auspices of University of Wisconsin-Madison. So, but if there's a feeling it's eliminated, we have a little work to do. Jeff.
Thank you. I'm Susie Alpert Drazen. I grew up in Sheboygan at James Madison Elementary School, listening to the Wisconsin School of the Air. I entered the university in 1972, just as the two systems merged. Could you do us all a favor and just talk about one of my favorite topics, the Wisconsin idea?
The Wisconsin idea, it means so much, and I'm sure it means different things to different people, but what it is in a nutshell, it's a pay it forward. We're all in this together. We educate, we share, we work for success in every way possible. We serve our communities, we serve our universities. The Wisconsin idea is all-encompassing, and it's amazing. You know, we're in a search right now. And a couple of the outside candidates brought up the Wisconsin idea and said that's what attracted them here. We don't have an idea in where they came from. And the Wisconsin idea is extremely important. It's not just two words. It's a way of life, and it means a lot. Thank you for that question.
Thanks for being here today.
And I didn't do it. I don't care what they said at Tremper, I didn't do it.
So when you were introduced, it was mentioned that you were a regent for 11 years. I think we're all familiar with a board of directors, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the role of a regent. And is there any handicap that some of our regents that have been appointed haven't been confirmed by the Senate?
Certainly it's a handicap, and I went through this. Okay, so I was appointed twice. And at that time, this not taking up confirmations is not a new thing. So what's going on today went on in 2004, and before that, and a bit after that. So yes, it is not a good thing. I told my local senators that wouldn't take up my own nomination back in 2004. It took me, I think, 18 months to get confirmed. And I sat through a time where the person that was in my seat before me wouldn't leave. And that person had a legal right to the seat. I mean, and morally, it may not have been the best choice, but legally, he was within his rights because he was confirmed. So he holds the seat until somebody's confirmed over him. It's not a good thing. And as I told my local senators, I said, who do you think voted for you to not confirm? Who do you think voted for you to not do your job? It's vote me down. I don't care what you do, but do your job. So this is not a good situation. It's not good for anybody. You obviously know what could happen in November, that the board, if there's a changing in parties of the governor, that the board, basically the majority of the board could be appointed all at once. And that's what happened then. That's what happened in, I'm not sure if it was 2004, 5, or 6. It doesn't, we still have an obligation to run our system in our universities. So we forge ahead the way we can. We have Regent leadership that we work with, no matter who it is. I can't think of, during that 11 years, and Regina was on a few more years after I left, where we had problems as a board, where there was any divide, regardless of party affiliation, as a board. I mean, well, I can remember one or two, but they're not important. So I think the board goes on. They understand their responsibilities. They know who appointed them, and they know what their views are. But they do come together for the better good. I believe that. Oh, the role of a regent. Well, it's like any other board. The primary role is hire the president. And then a sub-primary role in conjunction with the president is hire the chancellors. And then past that, you're obviously involved in policy-making decisions, directions, anything and everything a board would do. So there's a lot of reporting function up to the Board of Regents. There's committees. There's an education committee. There's a capital committee. There's a we called it the READY Committee, Economic Development. A few others I'm forgetting, but they're there to make sure we're on the right track.
Let me get one here.
Hi, Susan.
Thanks, Terry. Everything came from the other side. Yeah.
Is the mic on though? Okay, good. Good. Could you talk about the state of physical infrastructure at the various campuses across the system and where it is in terms of, the constant maintenance and renewal that it needs to stay competitive and to stay functional?
That's a big one. The amount of money it would take to just bring our buildings probably up to code, let alone useful. A lot of the buildings were built in the 60s, 50s, 70s, and so there's a lot of influences. So you need, for example, you need new engineering buildings. I mean, if you want to be, like Madison's a great example, if you want to be relevant, you better have the facilities that go along with the programs. Having said that, we have some buildings that are kind of crumbling. I office in one of them where little pieces fall down every once in a while. So the amount of money it would take to repair and renovate is astronomical. And then add on top of that, new projects, new buildings for new services. The state has been very good to us as far as capital dollars, but there's never enough, and it's a never-ending battle. It's hard to balance. It's one of the reasons the system was formed, is we had all of these universities out vying for money for their campus for capital projects. And so by putting them together and prioritizing them and bringing forward through a process, we kind of made that process much more efficient and acceptable to the legislature. But it's a big hole, and we're doing what we can, but we can't keep up, especially with the repairs. So now, I don't mean to ask your next question. Enrollment's not going up. Why do you need all these buildings? First of all, you need buildings that are useful and are relevant and they help in the process of educating. So we're more, there's new buildings going up, but we're more in the repair replacement mode than we are in additional square footage mode. And that's where we need to be.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm wondering, what was your biggest surprise entering into this role, and what are the lessons you've learned that you'll take away?
From this interim role? Yes. Biggest surprise? I can't handle it anymore. And that's hard to take. It's a lot of work. And I respect much more the people I work with. Most of the people oh no, I'm kidding. The people I work with, their dedication. So, we have employees, they get paid, but I guarantee you a good chunk of their job is volunteering within their own job, because it just takes much more than we can do for them. So I wasn't surprised by that, but maybe by the extent of that. It's a great organization. The people surprise me. They step up to any challenge there is. And they're much more acceptable to the challenge than I am. I don't have a shell. I take things personally, and they've learned, okay, I can take them personally, but when I'm done with that, I still got to take care of it. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for speaking with us today, Michael. One of the things he talked about at lunchtime was that his office is without air conditioning right now. And so talk about buildings and needing help, but they said that they have a priority list. And so first, of course, is the hospital, because they're having problems there. And then come the animals, and then behind all the animals, then the system gets their air conditioning fixed. So there's they have their priorities right, I think, is what I got from the conversation. So that's funny. But thank you, Michael. And thanks everybody who attended the meeting today. And with that, we are adjourned.